So welcome to the Emerging Markets Forum. We're very excited to bring you the fifth in the annual series of this conference. So I think in the life of conference series, five is a large number. So we're happy to be around 5 years since we started. The event today is brought to you by the Smith School Center for International Business Education and Research. I'm Kislaya Prasad, the director of this center. The Smith CIBER is one of a network of 17 CIBERs established through funding from the US government. Our mission is to further international understanding and to enhance the ability of US businesses to compete in the world economy. So CIBER receives major funding from the US Department of Education through a Title VI grant, and the grant makes this conference possible. We are particularly honored today to have Deputy Assistant Secretary Mohammed Abdul Qadir here. His department manages the whole portfolio of grants of which this grant is a part. Let me just take a minute and say why a conference series on emerging markets. Is that a little specialized? And I think no. The rise of new economic powers, particularly in Asia, has, I think, perhaps been the most important economic event of at least my lifetime. But I've seen people argue that it's the most important thing since the Industrial Revolution. So the billions of lives that were transformed by changes brought about in this world, in these markets just makes it important that we understand what is going on, what are the forces that are driving these change, and what it means for the United States business environment, but also for US government and policy. So with that in mind, we started the first of our series, and the first conference was called The Rise of New Economic Powers in America's Future. And we examined there the proposition that the rise of new economic powers somehow portends is bad news for the United States. And I was happy that almost everybody dispelled that notion who was speaking that day, and somebody characterized it as this elevator economics, one is up, one is down kind of thing is not making much sense, that it is to all of our mutual benefit to trade and to interact. The next year, we turned to the gender side of the emerging market story. And there we had many speakers point to the important and transformative role that women are playing in emerging markets. The year after, we looked at the role of diaspora in facilitating trade and commerce between the United States and many countries in emerging markets. Last year, it was negotiating history, culture, and institutions in the Islamic world. So those have been the past conferences. Today, we are turning to the topic of entrepreneurship in the global marketplace. And it's a broad topic, and we don't want to get into any one aspect of it very deeply, but we'll be touching on a range of themes today, and you have the program, you'll see that. We'll first take note of the vibrant startup culture that is taking root in many of the developing economies. The spirit of entrepreneurship that goes with it has the potential for transforming, for the better, the lives of lots and lots of people, some of the world's poorest people. So I think it's an important topic from that point of view. Also, policymakers in rich countries and poor countries have been thinking of what are some of the ways in which we can stimulate entrepreneurship. And so we have a panel that will address that. Then we'll also have Maryland Deputy Secretary Benjamin Wu talk about what are some of the things that Maryland is doing to stimulate entrepreneurship here. After that, we'll have the general idea in the US, it's now being increasingly acknowledged that startups have to think globally right from their very inception, that they have to have global markets in sights. And earlier in the cycle, we want them to go overseas in search of markets. These days, in the context of TPP and TPA, we've been hearing a lot about the statement that 95% of the customers reside overseas. And so it's important to tap into that huge base, but there are lots of difficulties and uncertainties. So to address that point, we thought we would put together a panel of firms, small companies that have recently made the plunge and gone overseas. And so you'll hear from the practitioner panel in the afternoon the challenges they faced and how they overcame these. So I think we have an exciting program for you, and I'm looking forward to that. But I want to take a moment to thank all of the partners and sponsors without whose support this conference just would not have been possible. So I want to acknowledge, first of all, the support of DBED, the Department of Business and Economic Development of the state of Maryland. So as I mentioned, Deputy Secretary Wu will be here later. DBED organized that whole panel in the afternoon, and Brian Castleberry was really critical in putting that together. So I'd like to thank him. He'll be here later in the day if he's not here already. And those of you who are interested in what Maryland DBED is doing, you'd want to talk to him. Of course, I want to acknowledge once again, I think, the support of George Washington University, Reed Click, the director, they're a sponsor. Additionally, Manuel Serapia, the director of the University of Colorado CIBER, couldn't be here, but sends his support. I think both of them made a financial support, but beyond that, I think the partnership with the other CIBERs, being part of this network, is incredibly rich, and the encouragement that we've received from them matters a lot. So I want to thank them. I'd like to acknowledge the support of the Ronald Reagan Building and International Trade Center. Their sponsorship provides this wonderful space to us, and we're grateful for that. The space that they've provided adds a lot to the atmosphere of our conference, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful for the Smith School's Emerging Market Association. Many of the volunteers you've seen and met, they have volunteered their time and their effort and energy for this, and the association has been involved with this through the whole process and over several years now. So we're very grateful to them. So with that, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Joyce Russell, Vice Dean of the Smith School. Beyond her leadership at the Smith School, Joyce is a distinguished scholar and a teacher of leadership. Students that I meet in the EMBA program routinely describe her class as the most important or meaningful experience of their whole program. So we're all really, really grateful that she's at the Smith School. She has worked with some of the leading companies in the world to help develop managerial talent, and it would probably take too long to list all of the accolades and accomplishments of Joyce. But I do want to point to one thing, that if you don't have the good fortune of being in her class, you can still read her insightful column in the Washington Post's Capital Business Journal, and I would advise you to do that. So please join me in welcoming Joyce Russell. I think there are steps on the other side. Okay.
Thanks, Kislaya. Thanks, Kislaya, for that, and for that great introduction. And I do agree this is a fabulous venue for this event, so we're very excited to be here to kick this off. I wanted to just welcome you from the Smith School of Business, and I know that Kislaya has said a number of great things about CIBER, and so I think everybody has a good appreciation for that. I wanted to also, before I say anything else, thank, I know you thanked a number of people, but I also want to thank some of the people who put this on. So our Office of Global Initiatives, headed up by Rebecca Bellinger and her team. I see Chris, I see Claudia, I see Ryan with the Center for Social Value Creation, a number of people who really did a lot of work behind the scenes. So if we could just take a minute and thank all of them. Thank you. So let me just very briefly tell you a little bit about what we're doing at the Robert H. Smith School of Business and University of Maryland in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation, because this whole forum is about entrepreneurship. And so the backdrop of that, entrepreneurship and innovation really is the DNA at the University of Maryland. The Princeton Review has traditionally ranked the University of Maryland as one of the best entrepreneurship programs. President Lowe, who many of you, every time he talks at the University of Maryland, he talks about innovation and entrepreneurship. And so we have the academy that focuses specifically on that. And if you're on that part of campus at College Park, you'll see a lot of emphasis with incubators and startups, all kinds of things. April is Entrepreneurship Month at the University of Maryland. And we just recently, many of us were just there, hosted a very large national competition of entrepreneurship called Cupid's Cup, which I'll mention. Entrepreneurship is also, the whole entrepreneurial spirit is one of our strategic pillars. So when we look at the kinds of things that at the University of Maryland, the Robert H. Smith School of Business we stand for, entrepreneurial spirit is one of those key themes, which means what? Which means we have a lot of curricular activities around that. We're, in fact, just rolling out, for those of you with college-age students, we're rolling out a new business minor this fall with an entrepreneurship track because we know that a lot of people are really interested in this area. We have a lot of courses that focus on innovation. We have study abroad programs. I had the pleasure of listening to a few of our students who just went to Nicaragua who were helping some entrepreneurs there with their business. So there's a lot of effort in that realm in terms of not just starting your own business, but then applying business principles to help other people with their businesses. And then we have really two very strong centers at the University of Maryland in the Smith School of Business that focus on these areas. One of them is our Center for Social Value Creation, so we have a number of people here from that center who are not only helping out, but here to learn what's going on today. The mission of that center is to really apply business principles to create a better world. And so they engage in a lot of curricular activities. We have a lot of undergraduate and graduate students who are very enthusiastic about working with that center, as well as research that's being done in a number of our academic colleagues. Some of the big things that they put on in terms of signature events, we actually just experienced one, was a social enterprise symposium. If you didn't have a chance to go to that, think about it for next year. It's a fabulous event with a lot of networking opportunities and then just a lot of really great content knowledge, as well as Change the World, the nonprofit consulting organization. So we have a lot of enthusiasm around the Center for Social Value Creation. We also have another center that's really connected to what we're going to be learning about and hearing about today, which is our Dingman Center of Entrepreneurship. That center has actually been around for quite a while, since 1986, and just this past year, it won the prestigious NASDAQ Center of Entrepreneurial Excellence Award. And that's from the Global Consortium of Entrepreneurship. And so it's traditionally rated very high as one of the strongest centers in the country. Lots of curricular activities. I can just tell you about a couple of them, but their mission really is to not only build this community of entrepreneurs, but to celebrate entrepreneurship and to provide a lot of resources to help people who have organizations or startups. So as an example, they have an angel investor network that's been very active in not only investing, providing advice. They have they do a lot, but they have a couple signature events. So once again, if you have an opportunity in the future to attend those, one is Fearless Founders, and that's a student incubator for building startups. Another one is Pitch Dingman. So some of you have probably been involved, some of the students in here in Pitch Dingman. Every Friday, they will be pitching ideas where people can come, pitch their ideas to a board of experts who will provide advice for your idea. And so that's great in terms of we have anywhere from undergraduate students to graduate students to executives pitching their ideas. And then the competition that we just did, Cupid's Cup, which is a national competition for entrepreneurs and their businesses, that's hosted by Kevin Plank, one of our alums and the CEO of Under Armour. So that's very exciting as well. So just by pointing out all those different things, you see that we have at the University of Maryland in general, and then of course at the Smith School in particular, we have a lot of enthusiasm around entrepreneurship. And that really sets sort of the backdrop for today. This is as Kislaya pointed out, this is a fabulous event with great speakers as well as panels. We hope that you learn a lot, that you network, and that you really use all this information in terms of helping whether your own companies or other companies or just spreading entrepreneurship throughout the global marketplace. So with that, again, welcome from the Robert H. Smith School of Business. We are really delighted to help host this event.